The silent killer. Why 90% of us are at risk and how to fight back. Every single morning, millions of people wake up feeling utterly exhausted, as if a heavy hammer is continuously pounding inside their skull. It is dangerously easy to write off these alarming symptoms as mere consequences of prolonged stress, shifting weather patterns, or another grueling workweek. However, what if your body is actively broadcasting a critical distress signal that you have simply trained yourself to ignore? A vast majority of individuals believe that hypertension is strictly a condition of old age or a direct consequence of consuming nothing but fast food. This is an extremely dangerous misconception. You can lead what appears to be a reasonably healthy lifestyle, juggling demanding career responsibilities, family commitments, and household chores, while remaining completely unaware that your blood pressure is silently creeping into dangerous territory. High blood pressure is widely referred to as the silent killer, precisely because it develops without obvious early warning signs while continuously damaging your vascular system, heart, brain, and kidneys over time. Understanding this invisible threat is the very first step in reclaiming your long-term health and preventing catastrophic cardiovascular events down the road. Understanding your numbers. What systolic and diastolic actually mean for your heart. To effectively take control of your cardiovascular wellness, you must thoroughly understand what those two numbers on the blood pressure monitor actually represent. When you receive a reading such as 120/80 mmHg, the top number represents your systolic blood pressure, while the bottom number represents your diastolic blood pressure. Systolic blood pressure. The top number, this measures the peak pressure exerted against the inner walls of your arteries every time your heart contracts and forcefully pumps oxygen-rich blood out to the rest of your body. Diastolic blood pressure. The bottom number, this measures the baseline pressure remaining in your arterial system when your heart muscle relaxes between beats to refill with blood. Imagine a simple flexible garden hose. When the hose is soft and pliable, water flows smoothly without excessive internal force. However, if that hose becomes rigid over time, if debris builds up along its inner walls, or if someone steps firmly on it, the internal pressure spikes dramatically. The exact same mechanism occurs within your vascular system. Chronic elevation in either systolic or diastolic pressure forces your heart to work significantly harder than it should, gradually damaging the delicate tissues of your blood vessels. The DASH diet essentials. Eating your way to a 6-point drop. One of the most clinically proven non-pharmacological approaches to lowering elevated blood pressure is the dietary approaches to stop hypertension, universally known as the DASH diet. Clinical trials have repeatedly demonstrated that adopting the DASH dietary strategy can lead to a significant drop in systolic blood pressure, often by 6 to 11 points within just a few weeks of consistent implementation. The DASH diet focuses primarily on whole, nutrient-dense foods that naturally regulate vascular tone. Key components include abundant vegetables and fruits, rich in essential dietary fibers, antioxidants, and minerals that combat systemic inflammation. Whole grains, packed with complex carbohydrates and magnesium, which support metabolic stability. Lean proteins, incorporating poultry, fish, legumes, and seeds rather than heavily marbled red meats. Low-fat dairy products, providing necessary calcium, which plays a pivotal role in vascular muscle contraction and relaxation. By deliberately shifting your daily meal patterns toward these wholesome whole foods, you effectively eliminate processed ingredients that trigger arterial stiffness and systemic fluid retention. The hidden sodium trap. Why 80% of your salt isn't coming from the shaker. When people are advised to reduce their sodium intake to control blood pressure, their immediate reaction is often to throw away the salt shaker on the dinner table. However, removing the salt shaker addresses only a tiny fraction of the problem. In reality, roughly 80% of the excessive sodium in the modern diet comes from hidden sources within commercially processed, packaged, and restaurant foods. Sodium acts like a sponge inside your bloodstream. Excess sodium draws significant amounts of water into your circulatory system. Returning to the garden hose analogy, if you pump an excessive volume of extra fluid into a closed circuit, the volume increases rapidly, causing the internal pressure against the vessel walls to skyrocket. Major hidden sources of dietary sodium include store-bought breads, cured meats, canned soups, commercial salad dressings, frozen meals, and condiments. Learning to carefully read nutritional labels is crucial for identifying and eliminating these stealthy sodium traps. Potassium power, the natural antidote that relaxes your blood vessels. If sodium is the primary driver of fluid retention and arterial tension, potassium is its ultimate natural antidote. Potassium plays a dual role in maintaining healthy blood pressure levels. 1. Promoting sodium excretion. High dietary potassium signals your kidneys to excrete excess sodium and fluid through urine, effectively reducing total circulating blood volume. 2. Easing vascular tension. Potassium directly relaxes the smooth muscle cells located within the walls of your blood vessels, allowing arteries to dilate and lowering resistance to blood flow. Maintaining a proper biochemical balance between sodium and potassium is far more important than focusing on sodium reduction alone. When your body receives ample potassium, your blood vessels can effectively expand and maintain their natural elasticity. The best foods for potassium, from sweet potatoes to spinach. While bananas are widely publicized as the go-to potassium source, they are far from the most potent option available. Furthermore, bananas contain substantial amounts of natural sugars. Fortunately, there is a diverse array of whole foods packed with high concentrations of potassium that you can easily integrate into your daily meals. Sweet potatoes. A single baked sweet potato provides an exceptional dose of potassium alongside healthy complex carbohydrates and fiber. Spinach and dark leafy greens. Steamed or fresh spinach, kale and Swiss chard are nutritional powerhouses that deliver massive quantities of potassium with minimal calories. Avocados. Packed with heart-healthy monounsaturated fats, a single avocado provides more potassium than a medium-sized banana. White beans and legumes. Beans of all varieties offer an incredible combination of plant-based protein, dietary fiber, and vital potassium. Baked potatoes with skin. Eating the skin of a plain baked potato ensures you absorb its maximum mineral content. Efficient fitness. Why planks and wall squats beat traditional cardio for blood pressure? For decades, traditional aerobic exercises like running, cycling, or swimming were considered the absolute gold standard for cardiovascular conditioning. While cardio remains highly beneficial, recent landmark medical research has revealed that isometric exercises, specifically static holds like planks and wall squats, are extraordinarily effective at reducing blood pressure. During an isometric exercise, your muscles contract forcefully without changing length or moving nearby joints. This sustained muscular contraction temporarily compresses local blood vessels, reducing localized blood flow. When you finally release the hold, a sudden surge of oxygen-rich blood rushes through the vascular network. This phenomenon triggers the endothelial cells lining your arteries to release potent vasodilating compounds, causing blood vessels to relax significantly after the workout. Performing just a few short sessions of wall squats or planks each week can deliver profound drop-off results in both systolic and diastolic measurements. The weight loss math. How every 2 pounds can lower your numbers. Excess body weight places an immense continuous strain on your cardiovascular system. When you carry extra weight, your heart is forced to pump blood through miles of additional microvessels embedded within adipose tissue. Furthermore, excess visceral fat surrounding internal organs releases inflammatory chemical signals that harden blood vessels and impair kidney function. The mathematical relationship between weight loss and blood pressure reduction is strikingly direct. The 2-pound rule. Clinical research shows that for approximately every 2 pounds, 1 kilogram, of excess body weight you lose, your systolic blood pressure drops by roughly 1 millimeter of mercury. Compounding benefits. Losing just 10 to 15 pounds can result in a dramatic 5 to 8 millimeters of mercury drop in blood pressure, often matching or exceeding the therapeutic impact of a single prescription antihypertensive medication. Sustained, incremental weight loss reduces total blood volume demands, decreases resting heart rate, alleviates mechanical strain on the heart, and restores healthy insulin sensitivity. Alcohol and nicotine. The hidden ways they stiffen your arteries. Habitual consumption of alcohol and nicotine represents one of the most direct ways to damage your vascular network and elevate resting blood pressure. Nicotine. Every single time you inhale nicotine from cigarettes or vaping devices, your sympathetic nervous system triggers an immediate surge of adrenaline. This instantly constricts your arteries, elevates your heart rate, and causes an immediate spike in blood pressure. Over time, repeated exposure to tobacco toxins damages the delicate inner vascular lining, accelerating plaque formation and causing irreversible arterial stiffening. Alcohol. While moderate drinking is often mischaracterized as harmless, regular or heavy alcohol consumption alters central nervous system signaling, damages vascular endothelial cells, and stimulates stress hormone production. Restricting or eliminating alcohol intake frequently leads to rapid, measurable drops in daily blood pressure readings. The 6-hour rule. Why quality sleep is non-negotiable for heart health. Sleep is not merely a period of physical inactivity. It is a vital neurochemical restoration window during which your cardiovascular system undergoes a critical phenomenon known as nocturnal dipping. Under normal, healthy conditions, your blood pressure naturally drops by 10% to 20% while you sleep, giving your heart and blood vessels a much-needed period of rest and repair. If you consistently fail to get at least 6 to 8 hours of high-quality sleep per night, your body remains trapped in a prolonged state of sympathetic nervous system activation. Chronic sleep deprivation keeps stress hormones like cortisol elevated throughout the night, preventing nocturnal dipping from occurring. Over time, this non-dipping pattern severely increases the risk of developing sustained daytime hypertension, stroke, and heart failure. Warning signs of sleep apnea. Why you might still feel tired after 8 hours. You may carefully ensure that you spend 8 full hours in bed every night, yet still wake up feeling completely drained, irritable, and plagued by morning headaches. If this sounds familiar, an underlying condition known as obstructive sleep apnea (OSA) may be quietly wrecking your cardiovascular health. Sleep apnea occurs when the soft tissues in the back of the throat repeatedly collapse during sleep, completely blocking the airway. Key warning signs include loud chronic snoring punctuated by sudden gasping or choking sounds, waking up with a dry mouth or sore throat, unexplained daytime fatigue and brain fog despite sufficient time in bed, frequent nighttime urination. Every time your airway closes during an apnea episode, your blood oxygen levels plunge. Your brain panics, unleashing a massive surge of adrenaline to wake you up just enough to breathe. This violent nocturnal stress cycle causes severe overnight spikes in blood pressure that persist into the daytime hours. Stress management. Choosing healthy coping mechanisms over cravings. When faced with unrelenting professional pressures or personal challenges, the human body instinctively initiates the ancient fight-or-flight survival response. This physiological cascade floods your bloodstream with stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, causing your heart to beat faster and your blood vessels to constrict. Unfortunately, modern coping mechanisms often compound the problem. Many people attempt to soothe chronic stress by indulging in high-sugar comfort foods, excessive caffeine, alcohol, or smoking. These choices trigger additional spikes in blood pressure and systemic inflammation. Replacing destructive stress habits with active, positive coping strategies such as regular outdoor walks, creative hobbies, or dedicated mindfulness practices allows your autonomic nervous system to shift from sympathetic overload to parasympathetic calm. The furry factor. How owning a dog can naturally lower your stress and BP. Scientific research has repeatedly validated an unexpected, yet highly powerful cardiovascular intervention. Pet ownership, particularly owning a dog. Engaging with a companion animal induces immediate, measurable physiological benefits. Oxytocin release. Simply petting a dog triggers the release of oxytocin, a hormone that promotes feelings of bonding and actively lowers cortisol levels. Automated exercise. Dog ownership enforces regular, low-impact daily physical activity through mandatory morning and evening walks. Social and emotional connection. Dogs provide unconditional companionship, effectively counteracting chronic loneliness and social isolation, both of which are documented independent risk factors for hypertension. Redefining the goal. Why 120/80 is the new standard to save lives. In years past, blood pressure readings up to 140/90 mmHg were often dismissed as normal age-related changes. However, modern medical consensus has dramatically shifted based on extensive long-term clinical trials. Major health organizations now recognize that cardiovascular damage begins at far lower thresholds than previously assumed. Normal. Less than 120/80 mmHg. Elevated. Systolic between 120 to 129 millimeters of mercury, and diastolic less than 80 millimeters of mercury. Stage 1 hypertension. Systolic between 130 to 139 millimeters of mercury, or diastolic between 80 to 89 millimeters of mercury. Stage 2 hypertension. Systolic 140 millimeters of mercury or higher, or diastolic 90 millimeters of mercury or higher. Redefining these parameters allows medical professionals and individuals to intervene much earlier through proactive lifestyle modifications, preventing irreversible structural damage to arteries long before life-threatening events occur. Sustainability first, choosing one small change you can actually stick to. Attempting to completely overhaul your diet, exercise routine, sleep schedule, and stress management habits overnight is a guaranteed recipe for failure. Extreme lifestyle changes generate immense mental fatigue and are rarely sustainable over time. Instead, the key to long-term cardiovascular health lies in the power of incremental progress. Choose just one small, highly manageable action step that you can effortlessly integrate into your daily routine right now. For example, commit to drinking an extra glass of pure water upon waking up. Add a single serving of spinach or avocado to your daily lunch. Perform a 2-minute wall squat while waiting for your morning coffee to brew. Turn off all electronic screens 30 minutes before bedtime. Once a single healthy habit becomes second nature, stack another small change on top of it. These consistent, minor adjustments compound over time, creating a powerful momentum that permanently lowers your blood pressure. When to talk to your doctor. Balancing natural strategies with medication. While comprehensive lifestyle interventions are astonishingly effective at restoring vascular health, it is essential to recognize when professional medical guidance is required. Lifestyle strategies should work hand in hand with qualified clinical oversight, rather than in opposition to it. You should consult a physician immediately if your blood pressure readings consistently exceed 130/80 mmHg despite consistent lifestyle modifications. You experience alarming symptoms such as severe unexplainable headaches, chest tightness, shortness of breath, dizziness, or visual disturbances. You are currently taking prescribed blood pressure medication. Never stop, reduce, or alter your dosage without explicit medical approval, as abrupt cessation can trigger dangerous rebound hypertension. Partnering transparently with your healthcare provider allows you to safely balance powerful natural strategies with necessary medical therapies, ensuring your heart remains fully protected for a vibrant, long, and healthy life.